In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Sony 70-200 f4 lens and how it can be used to improve your landscape photography. Coming up. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome into the channel where I post weekly videos on how you can improve your landscape photography with in-field and post-processing tutorials, as well as gear reviews. So if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Now in this video, I'm gonna be reviewing the Sony 70-200 f4 E-mount lens for mirrorless cameras, how it can be used to improve your landscape photography. You know, as a landscape photographer, you may love your wide angle lens, just like I do. I love my wide angle. It's on my camera so much of the year, but I truly believe that all landscape photographers need to have a telephoto lens similar to a 70-200. Now, if you want to learn between the differences of a wide angle lens and a telephoto lens, you can watch this video that I have right here for you that explains that. Can't get into that right now. I also have it linked below in the video description for you to check out as well. This lens is a 70-200 millimeter lens, which gives you that exact distance on a full frame camera. If you're using a crop sensor camera like I am, I'm using the Sony a6000 with this lens, I'm gonna get a zoom of 105 to 300 millimeter. It gives you that little extra boost because you're using that crop sensor instead of a full frame, a 35 millimeter equivalent sensor on your camera. So that's what you're getting with this lens. Now, I've been using this lens for a little over a year and a half now, and I really wanted to use it a lot before I did a exact review on what I think about it and how I use it. My first experience with this lens is that this is an extremely strong lens. This lens goes through a lot with me. Actually, just a few months ago, I had it in the bottom of my backpack and my wife threw it into the bottom of the Uber we were taking and just like hit the bottom of the car and landed all the weight of my camera bag right on this lens. And I took it out to make sure it was okay. It was fine. But it just shows how extremely durable this is, and just feeling it and feeling like the materials of it and the weight of it, it feels extremely durable. I've used this lens in the cold, I've used it in the heat, I've used it in the dust, I've used it in sand, I've used it in rain, everything I've used it in, and it still performs extremely well. So if you're worried about durability with a lens that may not be like specific for landscape photography or anything like that, you don't have to worry about that with this lens because it does such a good job of holding up in the elements as I put it through the ringer at least 5 to 6 times on my photo trip of being negligent about my gear. Also, it's extremely light. It's much lighter than I actually thought it was going to be, and that may not seem like a big deal, but there's a lot to do about the differences between the f4 version of this lens and the f2.8. You can see my thoughts on that card right there and in the video description below. But like, there is some weight difference here. The f2.8 is gonna be a little bit heavier. The f4 is a little bit lighter. To be honest, I feel it in the bag. I truly do. I've used an f2.8 and carried one around in the past, went over to the f4, and it is much lighter to use than the f2.8. I had a Canon version because I was using Canon before this. And like hiking long distances, hiking up to Ramsey Cascades and Great Smoky Mountain National Park, which is a 4-mile hike with a pretty significant climb to it. And I didn't really get too fatigued carrying this lens in my bag. I had this lens, 2 camera bodies, a wide angle lens, tripod, and a drone with me. The weight should not be an issue for you. The image quality on this lens is absolutely tremendous. Look at these photos that I have right here on your screen. I mean, the detail in these portraits, I did some portrait shooting in Haiti, even though I don't do portraits. Sometimes when I travel, I take pictures of people just to remember their faces. And the detail on these are absolutely incredible. Not to mention the landscape detail that they have is absolutely incredible. Very, very sharp. Probably the sharpest lens that I've ever used, and I've used some pretty sharp lenses in the past, but this one is so sharp on those like little minute details within landscapes and creates some really solid images. Even putting images together and creating panoramas with this lens is truly so easy because the detail is there if you know your settings on how to get that dialed in.
The Sony 70-200 f4 is loaded with features for landscapes. It's so easy to get out of your bag and set up and get ready to shoot, as well as pack back up and get back in your bag so you can hit the trail again. It's also got a really steady focus ring on the lens that allows you to easily zoom up on the subjects in your landscape telephoto photos. Also got switches on the side that help you switch between manual and autofocus, full to infinity, focus, and image stabilization. It's also got a ring that allows you to switch between landscape and portrait view when it's on your tripod.
If you're in the market for a 70-200 lens, I highly recommend this Sony version if you're using a Sony mirrorless E-mount camera, because it is so fantastic. It is a little bit pricey for you, coming in like anywhere between $1,100 and $1,300 if you're gonna buy this lens. But if you have the money to invest in a telephoto lens of this quality, I highly recommend you do that. I honestly credit this lens with getting me back into love with landscape photography, because I went through about a 6-month stretch of not being happy with my images. I honestly did not pick up my camera for about 5 months of that, and then took this lens out shooting with me, just capturing details, telephoto images that I could get with this lens. And I was so happy with the results, and it was so fun creating images with a telephoto look that I hadn't really done too much in the past, and noticing the details and the things that I could capture, and making compressions with this lens with a telephoto option for landscapes. I truly fell back in love with photography. So I credit this lens with a lot in my life and in my photography career. I mean, it's basically like a baby to me now. I protect it at all costs whenever I go somewhere, you know, besides leaving it out in the rain and sand and throwing it down in the car. It truly is my baby. I promise I wouldn't treat my actual baby like that. I highly recommend this lens if you're a Sony user and if you're in the market for a telephoto lens. Hey guys, subscribe to this channel if you want to see more videos on gear reviews that are going to help you make the best choices for gear to improve your landscape photography. If you want to see more gear reviews, click or tap your screen right here. If you want to see another video from this channel, click or tap your screen right here. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later.